So, I can't talk with this shit today. What's good, my homages? Welcome back to another video. Oh man, so I began filming this video and my ADHD ass was like, oh, I have a camera battery and blah blah blah. It's halfway charged, it should be fine. I know better. I was like, I should just pop the thing in there, and then it went down to 1 bar. I got like 40 seconds into the intro and it tanked. So I know myself well enough. I have a fresh battery in my camera, but I am a very observant person. We're just gonna start with this. There's a method to the madness. There is a reason to what I'm about to say. There's a story behind it and everything like that. I haven't done a sit down video in a hot minute. I think the last time I did a sit down video, you would have saw that in December, and it was about coping with grief. And I was really shocked because I made this one video about blooming late. Maybe I'll put a link down in the description below for that video, but it was about blooming later in life, and I'm a very observant person. I'm very artsy, I'm very artistic. I am an artist, as you can see here. I like to create videos, I like art, and that's not what the point of this video is, but I made this one video specifically about being a late bloomer, and I was out for another walk 2 weeks ago, I want to say. I think it was like November 8th. And it's, you know, it's fall time here in Minnesota at the time of filming this, and things are dying. It's time for things to die so it can rebirth in the spring. That's just how the seasons work when you live in an area where there's 4 seasons. And my message before it was about this rose, this one video. It's actually doing fairly well on my channel, and that's not why I'm recording another one of these sit down videos. I've had this concept and this idea in the back of my mind since I saw it, but the one video that's performing pretty well on my channel, I'm very surprised because I literally wasn't trying that hard. I was just having a sit down conversation like you would a friend. And in that video, it was about this rose that bloomed, and it had a bud on it, and I watched it for like 3 weeks, and this thing finally bloomed. And I talked about how, like, you know, people like to put a time limit on things, like, oh, you shouldn't do this by a certain age, or you should be here, have this, this, and this. We're sold this American dream, you know. When we're kids, we're told, they don't talk about the debt that's included in this, but they say, go to school, find someone that you're compatible with. They don't even say that, actually. They say, go to school, get married, get a house, get your career, you'll be happy. And there's a lot of pressure that's attached to those sort of things. Like, you can get all of them things, but nobody tells you how to hang on to it, so to speak. And that was the message of that video. Well, I was walking past, I'll slip a clip in here, but I was walking past this flower bush, usually like in the springtime. If you're in an area where there are 4 seasons, in the springtime, there's trees that flower and they blossom and everything smells so great, everything's fresh, everything's new. And there's like this deep appreciation that I have for springtime. When I end up walking past this bush, it might have been a lilac tree, honestly. I don't know what the hell it was, but I'm trying to get to my point here. I walked past this bush and there were a cluster of purple flowers. And I looked at this bush and I was like, you know, that's kind of weird for November. Like, there were a few green leaves left on this thing and there was just one cluster of flowers. And I've talked about this several times on my channel. I have spiritual gifts. I don't go into depth about them because it sounds woo-woo and really weird to people, but I hear things. It's not like I'm schizophrenic and I'm crazy. That's not what I'm saying. I hear things on a spiritual level, in the spirit realm, and not everybody believes in that, but I do, because I use this gift as a way to help others, and then it's also a guiding light for myself too. I feel like God really points things out in my life. And when I looked at this bush and I saw those flowers, as an introspective and observant person, I really had to internalize this, and I heard, that's you and your progress. And I was like, what? What the hell is that supposed to mean? You know what I mean? And I thought about this. And it coincides, like, all of this stuff that I talk about on my channel. Okay, I have to say something before I get to the point of this. I promise this has a point to the message. I'm trying to spit this out, but the words aren't coming to me. This platform and several other platforms is filled with self-help, motivational stuff. And one of the things that I've found lately is people will tell you what to think and what to feel, or what you should do about something. And as much as that's great, and sometimes people need those messages, there are so many times in my life where I've just been frustrated. It's like, yeah, it sounds easy for them, but it's not that simple. Sometimes you're in an area of your life where it feels like that. And in my life, where my hard season is I've been working on this YouTube channel. Maybe I'll be monetized by the time I post this. I know that one day it's gonna happen. I'm looking at this cluster of flowers, and it reminded me of all the times that I showed up for things. And it was for a lot of things that I originally wasn't good at. Like, I'll give you a few examples here. I've been in the modeling industry since I was 19 years old. I've done hair jobs for Aveda. Was signed with an agency at one time. This is before I got covered in tattoos and like legitimately decided that I authentically wanted to be myself, and like I was sick of putting on this mask. But I cannot tell you, I've talked about this on my channel before. Sorry, I got distracted, there was a truck out there. I can't tell you how many times that I showed up for Aveda hair job castings. There were probably 15 to 30 of them that I showed up to before I got booked for a job. I went through a breakup, and I don't know if this was part of it, but I pretty much chopped off my hair. My hair was like down to my butt, and it was like twice as thick because I was like 22 years old probably at the time. I went to all these modeling castings, paid thousands of dollars for acting, modeling, classes, all that stuff. I got sold this idea, whatever. I paid for it, it is what it is. But what I'm trying to say is that I showed up every single time I got an email just about. If I could make it work, I would go to that casting, whether it was, a day where I had to study for college courses because I was a full-time college student on top of having a full-time job as well. I showed up to those castings, and after I chopped my hair off, I went to a casting again, and they're like, oh my God, they noticed me. Something changed in me, and I had the willingness to cut my hair at the time. Well, since then, I got job after job after job is what it seemed like. At least 1 or 2 jobs a year, which isn't a lot to some people, but it meant something to me because I showed up for I don't know how many castings before I actually got the job. Here's another example. I had this job. I was hired through a temp agency to do work instructions. I was supposed to create work instructions for the assembly line, stuff that I had no idea how to build, but I was ready to jump in and learn. I put my head down at my desk. I came to work every single day on time. I did my job. I did as much work as I could, and I didn't fuck off. And I was like, I just have to get through the day. And it was a time where I was in a, like, this isn't the first time, but it was one of those times where I was in a bad relationship. I mean, none of them were great, but I was in a bad relationship and things were coming to an end, and it was a really hard time in my life. And no matter what I was going through, I kept showing up. And I was like, I have to go, I'm gonna go to work, put my head down. I just have to get through this day, so I kept myself busy. Right alongside me on the right-hand side was one of the bigwigs. I had no idea who this guy was. He was just, I don't get intimidated very easily, but this guy was a little intimidating to me. He was one of them guys you could tell that he had a sense of power in the company. And it takes a lot for me to get intimidated because it's just, I kind of have this masculine personality about myself. I'm not afraid to approach people. I'm weird. I'm introverted, but like I'm not afraid to approach people. Well, this guy, I kind of noticed that he was like looking at me. Well, one day he pulls me into his office, and I thought I was getting fired, and him and this other lady, she was another manager, they're sitting there and they're like, hey Tyler, how are you today? And the first thing I asked was like, am I getting fired? And they're like, oh my God, no. They wanted to promote me because they saw me coming into the office every single day, putting my head, they're like, we see you come into the office every single day, you put your head down, you do your job, you don't screw around, you don't, I wasn't messaging my coworkers, like I stayed in my own lane, I kept my head down and I kept my eyes fixed on what my tasks were, and I clocked out at the end of the day and I went home. I got the job that I wanted just from showing up every single day and doing my job, and like I really did work hard. Like I would run myself out of work and word was spreading. Like my manager at the time was talking about me. He's like, oh my God, like this chick, where did she come from? And it's not that I needed the praise. I just wanted to do a good job. And I was like, this is like, I don't know why it was important to me. I ended up getting promoted, a job that needed a bachelor's degree. This is a long story. I was supposed to have a bachelor's degree. I went to tech college for 2 years. I haven't shared this other part before, but then I went for my bachelor's degree. Well, that school had me in the wrong program. And I have 2 associate's degrees in business management because, well, people are like, Tyler, why are you so stupid? And I was like, well, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, so sorry, I didn't know what the hell I was signing. So that's another story for another time. But it kind of coincides with this YouTube journey. And I'm using these, not excuses, I'm using these examples because I feel like there's someone out there that's working towards something and they feel like it's not paying off, and I'm in a spot like that again in my life. I'm pouring all of this time, energy into this YouTube channel, and there's people who've laughed in my face. There's people who are like, oh, you think you're gonna be a YouTuber? And now that I'm getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, now people are starting to jump on the bandwagon and like support me. I've had my select few friends in my life, and if you're watching this video, I really appreciate you. You know who you are. But there's people who've laughed at me about it. There's times where I question whether this is what I want to do or not. I had one person get on the app a couple of days ago when I was having a really hard day, and yes, I'm creating this. Like, one of the videos that I filmed, I think you saw it last week. I'm trying to like pay attention to my schedule. The video that I posted on January 1st, so like Wednesday, today is Friday, you know, that this video is posting. But I was having a hard day, and I didn't talk about this in my video, but someone left me a comment telling me that God isn't real, and that people who are going through tough times find God through their struggle as like a sense of like belongingness. And it doesn't matter. The hate comment doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. But like, since I was it was kind of like you get kicked when you're already down. It was one of them days. Forgot my UPS box, like stuff that normally wouldn't bother me. It was one thing after the next. And I usually don't let stuff like that bother me. But there was this place where I reached where I was like, am I equipped for this? Am I equipped? And I really had to think about this for the last couple of days. I ended the video kind of early, and I just had to give myself time to really reminisce and sit on this and think. And I kept thinking back to this flower. And I almost have chills talking about this, but if you're a person and you're out there in the world and you're showing up every day and you're putting your heart and soul into something and you're pouring your energy into it and you believe in it and it's your dream, and there's going to be people around you that laugh at you, there's going to be people around you who tell you you can't do it. I mean, I went to a family event probably about a month ago. I didn't talk about this either on my channel, and people basically were laughing in my face, were like, oh, you don't have a job? And I can't tell you how beside myself I felt in that situation. I'm not going to get into details about it because that really rocked my world. Like, I think the biggest thing we want in life is when we're going after a dream is we really want to feel supported by, especially our family. We want to feel supported by those people. And when they're sitting back and judging you because they've never went for shit in their life, it's devastating because you want them to be happy for you. You want them to cheer for you, even though your results haven't shown. You haven't proven yourself. And going for a dream or a goal isn't about proving yourself to anybody. I have to keep reminding myself of this. It's about proving yourself to yourself. You're already enough. And we're a lot like that cluster of flowers. When we work the overtime, or we're like working really hard for a dream, or we're working 24/7, maybe you struggle with workaholism like I do. I'm not promoting that whatsoever. But you put your head down and you work more hours than anybody you know in your life. And it's not about how many hours and like if you're better than them because you work more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you're going for a dream, it takes a special kind of consistency. It takes, especially if you're a person like me and you struggle with depression or something with your mental health, and you have these constantly negative little twat, like just negative Nancy in your head, just being like, you're not good enough, like, who do you think you are, blah, 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 like these negative things, that negative self-talk. And a lot of times I have to tell that voice to shut the hell up, because it's like, the only one who's gonna get you to the destination is yourself, and you're that cluster of flowers. You're that person. All of that work, you can't really see a payoff. And you know, I gained 10 subscribers in the last couple of days just from that one video I was talking about, and it blew my mind because I almost didn't post that video because I didn't think it was any good. Like, it meant something to me, but I posted it because I was like, well, maybe someone else needs to hear about this. And maybe you're that cluster of flowers that you're putting in the hard work, you're putting in the dedication, you believe in it, you're tending to your garden, you're tending to your crop. It's kind of like a seed. I've said this before, I've used this example. Plenty of people in the motivational world have used this reference example, but a seed, when you have a seed, and when it's in the right environment and you plant that seed, say you plant it in really rich soil, dirt, you know it's the good stuff. You put it in the soil and you're watering it and you're watering and you're tending to it. It's doing something beneath the surface. You can't see what it's doing. You can't reap the harvest until that plant sprouts up and all that consistency, all of those days, and it starts to grow leaves and it becomes to bear fruit. If you're tending to it, it's getting the right nutrients, the right sunlight. And it's kind of like your dream. It's kind of like this YouTube channel is my baby. I'm nurturing to it. I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in the time. And it's one of them things where you pour all of this time and energy into it and you're not seeing a payoff. Like those 10 subscribers, like that means everything to me. But there were months, I have it on the board here, where I only had like 18 subscribers in 1 month and I was posting 3 videos a week. And I was like, God, when is it gonna give? And I think the hardest part about all of this is there's no specific timeline to when stuff is gonna pay off. I've been working in my art business for 4 years now. I don't really sell many of my original paintings, and I know that one day I will. And I have this belief in my heart, and I think you know you're doing the right thing is when you wake up every day and you're willing to do that thing, even if you're not seeing results. That's like, I've had people ask me like, oh, Tyler, do you want to be a wedding photographer full time? Because I do photography on the side too. And I was like, actually, no, I don't. And they looked at me like I was crazy, like, well, you could make a lot of money. And I said, it's not about the money for me. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be somebody on the internet who's authentic and real and whole, like in themselves. And I know that it's going to come with the challenges. And through like these painful seasons of not seeing a payoff, I know that it's prepping me for things like these hate comments are coming slow, but there's gonna come a day where I might get 10 of them in a day. Like, what would I do with that now? I don't know. So right now I'm putting in the work, I'm getting the hate comments slowly, and I'm trying to learn how to navigate and deal with these things because I don't really know how. Like, sometimes it frustrates me, and then I think the biggest thing that I've been learning is to not even respond, because it's like, it's not up to me to argue with someone whether God is real or not. That's not my walk of life. That's their walk of life. I don't care if someone believes in God or not. I'm not shoving my beliefs down anybody's throat. I just know that I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have the strength that I do without God. God has been there in the dark. He shed a light on me when I had nobody. I've known God since I was straight out of the womb, and I'm not going to get too far into depth about that, but you're like that cluster of flowers. When everybody clocks out at the end of the day and you're still there finishing up your work tasks because you want things to be done right and you're putting in all that effort, you're that flower. And when everybody left, they're the leaves that fell off of that lilac bush or whatever it is, and you're that cluster of flowers. Even though it's cold and it's fall, it's like, how are these flowers surviving in this environment? It's because you put in the work, you put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and one day it's gonna pay off. We don't know the timeline. We don't. And I think that that's the hardest part. There's videos on here where I break down crying and I'm like, oh, should I post that? And I was like, you know what? I guess the right people will love me for who I am. And I'm not on here to spread toxic positivity. I'm not on here to pretend like I have everything together. I make these videos because we're all human. We're not immune from struggle. We're all gonna face our struggles. We're all gonna face our fair share of trials. I cannot talk today. We're gonna all face things that are really hard. We're not gonna know how to navigate it. And maybe you're just starting a business and you don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's very overwhelming. Like this wedding that I photographed last weekend, I was stressing the F out. I didn't talk about this in any of my videos because I wanted to make sure the photo shoot was done, the photos were edited, I sent them, and then I got a response from the couple because it was extremely important to me that I photographed their big day the right way. And it was a challenge because it was a low light setting. I did my research. I was stressing about this wedding for 2 weeks. Like, I literally felt like I was gonna pull my hair out. I was like, oh my God, I have to make sure I know, my flash was pretty new to me. I like to photograph things outdoors. And it's like, I was stressing, and so I did the research, and that's the thing too, when you're in this really weird in-between phase, you're gonna learn how to edit videos better, you're gonna learn how to do a new skill, or you're gonna learn how to use AI, you're gonna learn how like SEO works, you're gonna learn a new technique or a new trick or something, and then that's what makes you a master. And I think the hardest part about the in-between and with the consistency is like showing up every single day, whether you're tired, you're scared, you're depressed, you don't have anything left. And I know, and I'm talking about this, it is important to take breaks. It's important to rest, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, go, 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 go. And then I hit a wall to burnout, and I was like, everything is the worst. And then I'm all sad, and I'm in my feelings, and I feel like everybody hates me, but that's not the reality of it. The reality is you're human. You only have so much that you can give, but you're that cluster of flowers. All of that hard work is gonna pay off someday. And you know that you're doing the right thing, like I said, is when you show up every single day, and even though you're not reaping the benefits or reaping a harvest, you do it because you enjoy it. You show up every single day. You're putting in those hours. You're giving it your all, so to speak. So I just want to tell you today that showing up and being consistent with something, whether it's a career, like relationships especially, whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, you have to show up and you got to be present. And I know that comes a lot with a dream. When you have a dream and when nobody else around you sees it, the thing about life is sometimes you got to shut out that outside noise from those people, because the people who are judging you are the ones who are fear-based. They're the ones who are telling you every single thing that could go wrong. Oh, you shouldn't do this. You should be safe. You should have a safe job. I would rather deal with that sort of pain than the pain of regret getting to the end of my life when I'm 80, 90 years old and being like, oh, I wished I wouldn't have people pleased and I really would have did that YouTube thing, because I don't want to be crappy, I don't want to be miserable, and I don't want to hate my life. And there's struggle, there is sacrifice that comes with this. It's very hard to balance it on top of everything else, but moral of my message today is consistency pays off. And in those hard environments, when you do reach success, you're gonna know how to navigate certain situations because you learned when you were in the thick of it. So if you have a dream and you're going for a business and maybe you're not the best at it, you don't need to be the best. You don't have to be the best at anything. There's so many times where I go into something and I completely suck, but I have like this weird belief within myself. It's like, oh, I can do that. I can play the guitar. I'm not very good at it, but one day I will be, because consistency pays off. I posted a video on my music channel, my music YouTube channel, and I did a 30-day guitar progression. I had 3 people thumbs down the video, and it's like, listen, I said that I sucked. At first it kind of bothered me. I'd be lying if I said it didn't, but there's this other side of myself that is like, I heard someone say it, maybe it was Lewis Howe, I think his name is. He's like a motivational dude on the internet. He's got like a podcast and stuff. And he's like, suck at something and suck badly at it. What are we afraid of? Someone's gonna laugh at us? Oh well, life goes on. At the time it might hurt. At the time it's gonna suck when you get the judgment. But who's gonna be laughing at the end of the day when you have success, and those people that were afraid to take the leap and were afraid of what everybody else thought of them, you're gonna be living the good life. And I don't know how else to say it other than consistency is key, and it's okay to suck at something because one day you can become a master at it. So I hope that this video made sense, and I hope that it helped, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I believe in you. I believe in your dreams. If you're someone on the other side of this camera that doesn't have anyone in your life that believes in you and you need that little bit of motivation, this is the video, and this is why I'm making it, because there's been so many times in my life where I wished I had somebody there telling me that things are gonna work out, because they always do. Even though it doesn't look like it, even though I went through 8 years of hell and stuff kept happening one thing after the next, and I never saw the light of day, and I thought that things weren't gonna get better, eventually it does. And life is hard. This is not for the weak. It's not easy, especially if you're going for your dreams. So consistency is key. It will pay off one day. We just don't know the timeline, and that's the most painful thing, but that's what develops our character. Yeah, so I hope you have a great day, and again, I believe in you. You got this. Peace out.